All right, good afternoon, cyber traders. Welcome on back here. This Halloween edition of the afternoon meeting, October 31st, shortly after 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. Let me get a quick sound check just to begin for all of us inside the live trading room. Let me know that you folks can hear me loud and clear. Great to see all of us back on social media as well, Facebook Live and YouTube. Great to see our students, of course, at most. Leda, Dan, Andre, Mike, who I'm going to be chatting with in just a bit. Look forward to that. Great to see Kevin, Charles, Michael, Kathleen. And actually, while I'm doing this, how about this? A quick little word from our sponsor here this afternoon meeting. We got a sponsor this afternoon meeting. No, I'm joking when I say that. But honestly, I want to give a big shout out to begin. I don't have my webcam up. I'll try and show it tomorrow. I'm actually recovering from a bit of an allergic reaction last week. It's been a rough week, but I'm almost back to full health. I feel great actually today. But this afternoon meeting is brought to us by one of our longtime students of CTU, Johannes Cortland from Alpine, Texas, Scoops Creamery. He ended up sending me his specialized coffee that his company, his wife and him, end up making for his company, Scoops Creamery in Alpine, Texas. I look forward to having this, and I know that you folks can't see that right now, but it smells great, and I look forward to showing it to you perhaps tomorrow. But I ended up getting that in the mail actually on Saturday. I was looking forward to at least mentioning that here today. So enough about me, though. Market's gone nowhere. Higher lows all day, but we haven't had any real break of resistance. No higher high. With that, Nikola, NKLA making a really nice squeeze up here today. This stock, we've been talking about just a litany of these different trades that have been getting crushed over the last year, maybe even and a half at times. There are some stocks that are breaking new all-time highs and have been as the markets have just began to, started to rebound, I should say. Nikola here, at least from midway of 2020 all the way to now, hasn't done really much of anything aside from drop. Up today, just about 16+%. It's at the highs right now. So right away as a day trade, I'll put this on our watch list. Maybe this could be a continued squeeze up throughout the duration of the week. Keyword there is maybe. I wouldn't take that as swing trading advice, but as far as a day trade, this is exactly where we would want to see a stock like this. So, hopefully this has some really good legs for us here going into the close. All right, we had a stock that had some great legs for us earlier today. Leda actually just commenting now inside our live trading room on the Nikola, mentioning that it has earnings on Thursday. So I appreciate that, Leda. A lot of things happening this week and next week, the week after, perhaps even. But Fed meeting coming tomorrow into Wednesday, and then Nikola at least, their earnings Thursday. But Sun, we ended up seeing this make a really sharp squeeze earlier this morning. I'll tell you, I could be kicking myself right now for missing this trade. We ended up seeing it ran up earlier today from 130-ish, 140-ish up towards just about 175 and then pulled back down. But throughout the morning, it was breaking above resistance off 170. And I was on a call with one of our students on a coaching session. And, we turned over to this trade as it was beginning to test the highs. So we say let's look to see if there's anything on Bookmap, any big levels. And at the time, there was something, a little tiny guy at 170 here. And I wasn't as convinced of that acting as support at the time, or at least initially, perhaps to see some consolidation longer than this. Well, unfortunately, this ran without me. This ended up running all the way up to a high of the day, roughly off that 250 level, broke higher than that earlier. But right now, Sun, this is where I want to jump back to the daily chart here, because if you look at the volume this stock trades on a day-to-day, it's very low, very light normally. So, I don't have the float or any of that information on me right now. Actually, if you can spare me a couple minutes, or a couple seconds, I could probably get that for you. But nonetheless, I feel like this stock just trading near 88 million shares right now is going to be pretty exhausted. Sun float, 4.87 million. That's pretty low compared to the amount of volume it's trading right now. So this could be really boom or bust, meaning that I feel more likely than not that this will break this trend off the lows and really come down hard to 2. So I'll put this on our side list. I'll come back to it by the end of it all. But between the low float and the high volume total here, it's kind of sticking in there, but we'll come back to this just to make sure. All right. Well, a stock that we are pretty sure right away on, ACOR. The question that you might want to ask is, though, is how much more does this have left in it before we see a top, a head fake, or anything like that? It's moved up really well across the last 30 to 40 minutes since 2 o'clock, pretty much. But just thinking about that, it's moved from what, like 82 cents up to 107, 109. That's a huge move percentage wise in its own right. So, it's actually moved up higher from, the morning. But yeah, I mean, this stock right now looks really strong. We'll put this on our list for right now. Just be careful of a top here, perhaps off that 110, and then for it to maybe come back down a little bit before it perhaps pops higher. Stock we did well with from earlier this morning, the EFSH, really from the market open shortly afterwards, ended up popping pretty nicely, ended up running from like 270 up towards 350 and higher, but ended up coming right back down off the initial test of 350. This was a trade, unfortunately, I ended up wasting a good portion of my profit on. I ended up getting a few pennies at most on this. So, I wanted this to really begin to run higher off of, well, I was in from 329, 330 and, had it. But then once it came back under 350, that's a huge red flag, ginormous red flag. So from that point, I was like, oh, this is pretty much done with. So, I stayed away from this trade since, thankfully so, but pretty unfortunate that this didn't make the continued move up higher from where we wanted it. Right there is looking really good. Pushed up higher, and then we had the false break. All right, this one was moving up earlier. I'll check in on it now. The ATNM stock, more from the mid morning, popped off of consolidation from 1050, 1070 ish, and ran up really well after that. The order book doesn't look too appetizing in a sense, meaning it's like got kind of a bit of a spread and thin volume on both the bid and the ask. So you got to be really careful on this type of trade. Very volatile and dangerous. Uh, it's at the highs right now, so it's hard for us to not put this on our main watch list today for this afternoon. Just be careful, though. Like I'd said, this stock looks like it's had a bunch of different reverse stock splits in the past. I doubt that this was a $450 stock from 2014, so probably factoring in a couple of different reverse stock splits in between there. That leads me to say that it's going to be a pop and drop type of stock. You don't want to be caught on the wrong side of this trade. So, if you're like a new student, level 1 or 2 student here, that's okay. But if you are, don't look to trade this one. If anything, it looks like there's been a bit of a top roughly around 1250, 1240 ish. It broke over it on a few different instances here on the weekly, but, just with this breaking above it pretty sharply this morning, perhaps that could be a bit of a support level for this trade on the intraday. Maybe even here it may have done that hold and squeeze. All right, let's see what else we got here otherwise. Now we'll jump to the pot stocks right now, CGC, and we'll also check out Tilray, TLRY, and if there's anything that looks really good with the pot stocks. Otherwise, we'll check it out. But there was some news that came out in terms of like the pot sector, some news with legalization. So I'm just getting the headline from 11:30 Eastern time. Shares of cannabis companies are trading higher after the Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said Congress is quote unquote very close to passing a marijuana banking and expungements bill. Here's the thing on reading that headline, right? And this is where, like, if this runs as a swing trade without me, I don't care because there's so many other fish out there in the sea to try and swing trade with this market in terms of a day trade. Anytime there's been news out like the last year and a half, 2 years with the pot stocks and potential legalization, it's a great headline that comes out, but we don't get that big reaction that we wanted, afterwards. We see these stocks back from 2018 time, may have been like, 4 years to this point, but back from 2018, Tilray ended up going from 25 up to 250 and above, near 300. And this was an actual move. That wasn't like a based off a reverse stock split. That was a real move that a lot of us inside our live trading room here live ended up catching back then. So with that said, if this stock can make a fraction of the type of run it made for us back then, it would be a huge success, right? So that's always been our mentality on the pot stocks. Anytime there's been like, a good headline out there towards the sector and legalization, but you could see even back from 2021, had a nice run then, came back down. So you're not trying to swing trade this, but if a headline comes out, then perhaps that could lead to some big short covering, and that could lead to a nice rally into the close here. So, Tilray, I'll put on our watch list here. CGC, same thing. I'm not going to add every pot stock, folks. So those are the two that are, trading the most volume that look the best. Gas ETF, Boyle with cold down big today. UNG and Boyle both up big. Up big percentage wise. Boyle's a little bit more expensive. If you're looking to trade the gas, sectors and the ETFs there, I would follow UNG and cold if anything, but I'm not going to put any of them on the main list for right now. Now, with that said, you might get a couple of energy stocks, oil and energy stocks making a nice squeeze here. You could see nine back from the beginning of this year had a huge pop, and yeah, granted, it dropped off. The last few weeks, I didn't even realize this until now. This has been on a huge tear. INDO, a stock that ran with nine back then. This is not really looking too great. The ENSV. Well, look at this. Another stock that ran with those back then. ENSV doesn't look terrible. Relatively liquid. It's up, damn near 23%. So I'll put ENSV on our list. Why not? The 9 trade, I'll also put on our list. Why not? All right. Let's see what else is out there. If there's any of the other oil or energy stocks or maybe gas stocks related, let me know in the chat board. Just type it in there. I'm sure I'll run into a couple more here as we round off the gainer side. SPY trying to trend up off the lows now. Higher lows but lower highs heading into this meeting. So we were looking for a pattern to build, a nice trend to build at least here, taking us into the afternoon. So this is nice to have so far. Win had a nice push earlier this morning. I'm assuming off of earnings. I didn't check the news on this myself, but GRWG, another pot stock. Just the others are looking a lot better, though. TAL, Fausto has been a fan of these stocks more as a day trade of late, but it's at the highs. A little slow though. Not trading a whole lot of volume per minute like we've normally seen it. All right, let's hop over to the loser side here, folks. I mean, we have a decent list as is, and if we're expecting a bit of a push taking us into the close, then we'll see what we find here on the loser side. But so far, I wouldn't expect to see a whole lot. Got this YMAB. Geez, this thing has been getting hammered from the end of last week into today, breaking 52-week lows at least. All-time lows at that. All-time lows on this stock here today. YMAB. It's shortable on my platform on TradeStation. Not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute, though. That's like the thing that skeeves me away from this trade. But it's at all-time lows, and it's shortable. And it's liquid. So that part, I am a fan of. It's just not trading a lot of volume actively per minute. So I'll slip this on our list on the back end. YMAB. TSP, another stock breaking all-time lows at least this month, if not even this morning, but a lot more flat right now. There's natural gas ETF cold, so that down big when UNG is up and Boyle up. Tell you what, Coinbase was taking a huge hit earlier today. Looks like it flattened out a little bit now, but from the morning, a lot of different, crypto stocks took a bit of a hit today. Coin, Mara, Riot, all those ended up dropping off steadily today. Unfortunately, you can't short many of them aside from Coinbase. Yeah, Meta down over another 5% right now, trying to bounce from like 92.50-ish. If you're into the more expensive stocks, then I'm sure that you'll be more inclined to follow this or a Coinbase perhaps. Dash, not much happening there. Down over 6% though. Just wanted to look at the chart. All right, folks, let me know what you got for me here. If there's anything else up big, down big that I may have missed, type it in the chat board. Just let me know. Got a few stocks making a big move down right now, but they're hard to borrow. Can't short them, like HTCR, HOTH. Not a whole lot happening there. Did I mention ANTM? I did. I did cover that one already, but I appreciate the shout because that's up big at the highs. So still working off that trend there. Look to see if perhaps like a 1250-ish, 1242, like we talked about from the weekly chart as we had it up, perhaps that could be a bit of a support taking us into the afternoon. All right, folks. So I'll tell you what, I think that we're going to call it for right now. I have Sun on the side list. I was going to get back to Sun, I think, at the end. SONN. I don't know. You tell me. It feels like we're on the top of the roller coaster, about to dive down 80 miles per hour. So for right now, I'm going to pass on Sun. If it ends up making a pop from this point, if it ends up breaking back over the 44,000 share order at 249 and above 250, then we'll be there to call it out. So for all of us in social media, Facebook Live, YouTube, hey, we're always wrong at times, right? But, this doesn't look too good, this trade. If it ends up making a pop, myself, Rich, and our students like Wendy and Michael and Lita and Cal and all of us inside the chat, we'll look to work together as a team if it ends up making that push back up for us to then try and anticipate a continued move. So if you wanted to join us inside our live trading room to continue the audio commentary and see what we're all about with our call outs inside our chat board, just go right down to the link on the yellow banner below on the stream right there to get yourself started. Otherwise, though, if you had any other questions prior to joining us, always feel free to send over a quick email. Josh@ctutrading.com is my email address. Always like to post that at the end here too. All right, for all of us inside the live trading room, at least, like I'd said, you'll have Rich on the mic from 3 to 4. I'll be on a coaching call with one of our students, and we'll see if there's anything that we could look to follow collectively here, taking us into the close. I'll chat with you folks soon.
Become a Cyber Group member today. Just click the link below and receive all these amazing products and a world of knowledge for just $9. Do it today.